Test. Good morning, everyone. We'll get started. I know everyone's a little bit cold this morning. So I'm Jamie Lynn Hancock, and I'm the National President of MAD Canada. Thank you all for joining us today for the national launch of our 34th annual Project Red Ribbon campaign. Before we begin, I'll just give a quick reminder. I see everyone has their masks on, but with the exception of our guest speakers today who are at the podium, we just ask that everyone keep their mask on for safety. Project Red Ribbon raises awareness about the risks of impaired driving during the holiday season, which is traditionally a very busy time on everyone's social calendars. Every year, in the weeks leading up to the holidays, MAD Canada volunteers go out into their communities to distribute red ribbons and red ribbon car decals for the public to wear and display as a sign of their commitment to always drive sober. These ribbons also serve as a moving tribute to the hundreds of Canadians killed and the thousands injured in impairment-related crashes each year. Despite the laws and despite the education and awareness, people continue to get behind the wheel impaired by alcohol, cannabis, and other drugs. MAD Canada's latest statistics report showed that in 2019, there was an average of 10 impaired driving federal charges and provincial short-term license suspensions laid every hour in Canada. We want our red ribbons to be seen everywhere, to remind people that it's never acceptable to drive impaired. No one ever thinks they'll be impacted by impaired driving. It certainly wasn't something my family thought about, not until that tragic day when my brother DJ was killed in an impaired driving crash. These crashes and the grief and heartache they cause are completely preventable. Impaired driving is not an accident. It's a choice that someone makes. With our Project Red Ribbon campaign, we want to motivate people to make the safe and responsible choice of never driving impaired. We start today's event with the lighting of a memorial candle and a moment of silence to honor the people who have lost their lives and suffered injuries as a result of impaired driving. Thank you. We are hosting this event today in conjunction with our MAD Red Deer chapter. Our volunteer chapters and community leaders are the driving force behind all of MAD Canada's work. It is all these volunteers with their incredible commitment, passion, and energy who bring MAD Canada's programs and services to communities all across the country. Many of these volunteers have been personally affected by impaired driving, and that's why they're involved. They want to prevent other families from enduring the pain and grief that they have faced. That is why Brenda Brown joined the Red Deer chapter and is currently serving as Vice President. Brenda's daughter, Chloe Canusis, who is shown on this year's Project Red Ribbon materials, was killed in an impaired driving crash in 2014. Brenda was with Chloe in the car and was injured herself. Brenda is here today with Chloe's dad, Mel, her husband, Larry, sons Jackson and Kessler, and other members of their family. Please join me in welcoming Brenda to say a few words and tell us about Chloe.
Good morning, honored guests, precious first responders, dear friends and family. My name is Brenda Brown. Although bittersweet, we are honored that our daughter Chloe Canusis, along with her sons Jackson and Kessler, has been chosen to be the face of MAD Canada's 2021 Project Red Ribbon campaign. I am beginning this address a bit out of order because before I leave you today with our lovely Chloe tucked inside your heart, I want to speak to you about why Project Red Ribbon is so meaningful to our family. It was about 5 weeks after losing Chloe that I received a call from a very compassionate woman named Darlene. She was with the Red Deer and District Chapter of MAD Canada. I joined the chapter 4 years ago, and my heart has found a safe and comforting place there, trying to make a difference. Darlene had lost a child to impaired driving many years prior. I will never forget her kindness as she let me know how MAD could help our devastated family. They offered us free access to numerous resources, support groups hosted by trained victim service personnel, and we were given a 3-day weekend in Toronto to attend the MAD Canada Candlelight Vigil of Hope and Remembrance. To say it promoted healing and honored our child's memory would be an understatement. We paid absolutely nothing for any of these services. We are very grateful, and it is our hope that lending Chloe's story for the 2021 Project Red Ribbon Holiday Campaign will help to raise a tremendous amount of awareness across the country and be a catalyst for change, because that, along with supporting victims and survivors like me, is what MAD does every single day. Chloe was our baby girl. We, along with her sister Tanis, had waited 7 years for her arrival. It is fair to say that Mel and I lived for our children. The days were full of memories made, and even though those moments were fleeting, we know now that they were everything. As a young child, Chloe's days were filled with Barbie dolls, birthday parties, dance class, and frilly dresses her grandma bought for her. Then it was a big no to dresses, and yes, to rollerblades, swim team, hockey gear, and her baseball glove. Then, from the age of 11, it was always her baseball glove. Chloe grew up in Rocky Mountain House, but for 3 years she played shortstop for the Tom Bass Bantam Sliders. They were a team so good they won the Alberta Championship, propelling them to the first ever Bantam National Championship in Winnipeg. After that, Chloe moved on to play shortstop for the Calgary 84 Rockies for 7 years, finding much success and making many friends along the way. At the age of 17, she was offered a full-ride scholarship to 2 Oklahoma universities. She went to OBU, did what she dreamed of doing until she suffered a rotator cuff injury. Chloe returned home to become a teacher, wife, and mommy. This beautiful girl was not just our daughter. As she grew into a young woman, she also became the sweetest friend to her dad and I. We were so blessed to have her for 30 years. Chloe had a zest for life, but bigger than her love for life was her love for Jackson and Kessler. She and Larry wanted their sons to have adventures and see the world. They explored and they grew with their parents' love and gentle guidance. Chloe loved to read to them and play games. They cuddled, wrestled, and tickled, tears of laughter rolling down their cheeks. They made forts under the kitchen table, raced around the house as ninjas, and Chloe loaded their tummies with... Sorry, my fingers are froze. Loaded their tummies with all that was healthy while baking their favorite cookies. She played in their sandbox and taught Jackson to kick and throw a ball. She loved to work in her beautiful flower beds, and she and Jackson had a special little garden which Larry made for them. Jackson loved to watch the seedlings grow, and he could not wait to enjoy the berries they tended so faithfully. And so it seemed that we would have Chloe to love for so many years. But it was after a late November day of Christmas shopping together, as we were laughing, talking, and planning our favorite holiday, an impaired driver, many times over the limit, took her life in an instant and left me screaming in the darkness. So many times I still feel myself screaming inside and praying it was all a dream. In that one entirely preventable moment, all of our lives were changed forever. I know now that the strength we unearthed in the days and months ahead was meant to help two little boys find their way and come to know that even on the darkest of days, we can be wrapped in so much love that the sun shines through. I will end this passage which I wrote, knowing these are the words Chloe would speak to us now. I was there with you when you laid those pink river daisies at my resting place, and when the bluebirds visit you in the spring. I was there watching you when you caught your first fish, donned your first jersey, rode your new green bike, and claimed my bald love as your own. Mama loves you to the moon and back. I am there beside you as you bike the trail with your grandsons on a sunlit summer afternoon, and when you kiss my photo every single day. I am there next to you watching our sons send a baseball soaring into the blue, and I am there for you in the home we shared during your loneliest hours, spurring you on. When that small feather came floating down towards you from the ceiling of that old church, I was with you then. My arms held you in those last moments together, and when you feel that you cannot endure the pain, my love will bring you strength and grace. We thank you, sweetheart, for all you gave so selfishly throughout your precious life. Your beautiful soul remains with all those who love you. Your memory and legacy live on.
Thank you, Brenda. Thank you for sharing with us who Chloe was. We're so deeply sorry to you and your family for Chloe's loss, and just know that we keep her in our hearts as well. Here in Red Deer and in communities across the country, MAD Canada is very fortunate to have the support of many partners. From elected officials to first responders to our generous sponsors. All of them help MAD Canada to deliver the sober driving message across the country. And we're honored to have some of them here with us today to launch our 2021 Project Red Ribbon campaign. Unfortunately, the mayor had to send his regrets, but we're very pleased to share that the Red Deer City Hall will be lighting up red this evening in support of Project Red Ribbon. And we're truly honored to be hosting today's launch here at the RCMP Red Deer North Detachment. Please partner with our chapters and community leaders here in Alberta and around the country to help raise awareness about the dangers of impaired driving. They lend their support to Project Red Ribbon and so many other events and activities throughout the year. We appreciate their collaboration so much. And of course, we're tremendously grateful for the work that they do day in and day out to enforce the laws, to take impaired drivers off the roads and keep us safe. Joining us today on behalf of the RCMP is Sergeant Michael Zuferli.
Good morning. I want to start by thanking MAD Canada for inviting me to say a few words today and for assisting them with kicking off the Red Ribbon campaign for 2021. My name is Sergeant Mike Zuferli, and I'm one of the police officers assigned to the Red Deer RCMP traffic section. I've been a resident of Red Deer since 2016, and it has been my pleasure and honor to serve this community. On behalf of Superintendent Grobmeyer, the Red Deer RCMP is honored to be involved in this year's Red Ribbon campaign. Impaired driving is a crime that has ripple effects throughout our communities. It destroys lives and families while also costing our Canadian society billions of dollars. It has long-term psychological effects on the survivors and the people behind the scenes. In my own circle of associates, it affects the police officers who have to piece together the events that led to the crash while attempting to gather evidence and seek justice for its victims. It affects the paramedics and the fire personnel who attempt to save the lives of both the victims and the perpetrator. Our tow truck drivers who attend and have to remove the wreckage from the roadway. These are just a few of the people that are affected by impaired drivers just moments after the event occurs, and the ripple continues to spread from there. Being involved in law enforcement since 2007 has provided me the opportunity to see the absolute devastation that one person's reckless decision can cause. Unfortunately, while the average person will read about the loss of life and the families left behind, their exposure will end there. MAD Canada's work is invaluable as it provides more than a name to our victims. It offers to share their and their family's story fully in hopes that people learn from others' mistakes. It teaches the public how the effects of impaired driving goes beyond the incident and continues to ripple through the lives of all the people involved. Through education and enforcement, we hope to reduce impaired driving across Canada. By changing what society sees as acceptable and educating people on the risks caused by impaired driving, we believe we can reduce the incidence of impaired driving. Partnering with groups like MAD, who can educate young adults regarding the risks of impaired driving, and hopefully remove any consideration they would give to driving high or drunk. It has been 100 years since 1921, when Parliament created the summary conviction offence of driving while intoxicated. It's been over 50 years since the limit of 80 milligrams per cent blood alcohol was established, specifically limiting the amount of alcohol a driver can have. Regrettably, given all this time, impaired driving is a regular occurring event and remains one of the leading criminal causes of death in Canada. Police agencies across Canada reported impaired driving decreased by 19% in 2019, compared to those rates reported in 2018. This increase in impaired driving ended an 8-year downward trend. While this shift in statistics seems concerning, it is important to consider the effects of changes to the criminal code that allowed for a mandatory alcohol screening. On December 18, 2018, mandatory alcohol screening passed into legislation, now providing officers the ability to demand a sample of breath from any operator of a motor vehicle in Canada. By removing the requirement for an officer to have reasonable suspicion that the driver had consumed alcohol, it allows police to quickly test more drivers and assist heavily in the detection of impaired operators. With a total of 85,673 incidents reported across Canada in 2019, it is easy to see that impaired driving is still very much a problem in Canada. Even though we see a recent increase, the rate of impaired driving remains below what was reported first in 1986, when the incidents of impaired driving were 2.5 times what they are now. This is proof that over time, education and enforcement can change societal views and actions. Provincially in Alberta, we are now approaching a year since the Alberta government started this new immediate roadside sanction program. The IRS program was enacted to reduce incidents of impaired driving throughout the province. This program, which was designed to ensure impaired drivers have immediate and significant consequences, has been embraced by all police agencies. Simultaneously, it reduces the burden that impaired driving places on the criminal court system while keeping frontline officers on the streets. Royal Canadian Mounted Police officers across Alberta have issued 2,842 roadside sanctions to impaired drivers between the start of the program in December 2020 until the last available data I had from September 2nd, 2021. For repeat offenders, Alberta's RCMP have issued 206 license suspensions against second-time offenders and 33 license suspensions to offenders on their third and subsequent offense. Impaired driving is not an issue restricted to only Red Deer or Alberta. Among our provinces, Prince Edward Island, Saskatchewan, Newfoundland, Labrador, all posted the highest rates of impaired driving in 2019. It continues to be a crime that is perpetrated by individuals of all race, gender, and socioeconomic status, which requires us to have a broad enforcement deterrent method to ensure it does not continue. Partnering with MAD Canada, police agencies across our country can have a unified voice, so we can successfully reach these individuals with a strong message of deterrence. If we are able to prevent one senseless death through messaging and campaigns, the work is not in vain. In closing, the hope of the Red Deer RCMP is that through partnership, education, and enforcement, we can prevent impaired individuals from operating motor vehicles. We're thankful that MAD Canada helps educate the public of the long-lasting impact and consequences impaired driving has beyond the legal repercussions that they face. Their support of the victims and survivors gives a voice to those affected by impaired driving. MAD Canada has strengthened road safety by supporting legislation that has created meaningful consequences for impaired drivers. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Michael. Project Red Ribbon is geared towards preventing impaired driving, and we know these messages hit home with so many people. Yet there are still some people who continue to drive impaired, like we heard today. And when those drivers cause crashes, it's our first responders and fire and emergency medical services, along with the police, who are among the first on scene. They see the devastation caused by impaired driving every single day. And that's why they are among our biggest supporters and partners in the effort to prevent impaired driving. We are honored to have all of these representatives here with us today. So please join me in welcoming Platoon Chief Kevin Bettesworth of Red Deer Emergency Services to say a few words.
Good morning, everyone. As Jean Lynn said, my name is Kevin Bettesworth, and I'm an acting platoon chief with the City of Red Deer Emergency Services. I've been involved in part of the EMS fire community for almost 30 years. I'd like to take the opportunity on behalf of the City of Red Deer and the Red Deer Emergency Services to thank MAD Canada for inviting us here today to speak. Brenda and your family, thank you for introducing us to Chloe and sharing your story. The long-lasting impact to your family is sadly something so many others have had to experience. When I first started out in my career, I began as a paramedic in a northern community and worked with the local fire department there. And one of my first experiences and very vivid experience in dealing with the tragic consequences of a decision made to drink and drive was a call I attended to in the community where a young man was coming home from a hockey game on the weekend and made the decision to drink and drive. This young man was part of a family that was a very influential family in the community, well connected, and the young man was well respected and liked in the community. Unfortunately, that drive home ended in the circumstances where he lost his life. He rolled his vehicle, he was a single occupant, rolled his vehicle, was ejected from the vehicle and died. So the choice to drive, to drink and drive, was a consequence that was doubly compounded by a decision not to wear a seatbelt, when that individual, probably would have survived had he worn a seatbelt and made a better choice than to drink and drive. That incident really impacted me as a first responder because of the fact that many of my peers at that time were working, and young men and women that were volunteering in the fire and EMS service, and so many of those individuals knew that person. And so it was quite the impact on the community, and the whole community shared that loss. As first responders, the impact of accidents and tragedies associated with drinking and driving are long-lasting. So many of us are invested in this community We raise our children here. Our children are involved in community athletics in the schools. And even though the city of Red Deer is a larger city, it still is a smaller community in the fact that everybody knows somebody, or it's, very well connected. And so quite often when we have tragedies, it impacts us in a really negative way. Often after an incident, like the one that I mentioned, I will sit back and reflect about how many people are going to be impacted. It's hard not to think of their children or their parents, siblings, friends, teammates, teachers, everyone that knew and loved them, and it can be very overwhelming. So I want to wrap up quickly by saying, I think extraordinary work that is done by MAD and others carries that message and is an advocate and brings that message to the forefront to the newer generations, kids and parents, about making sure that when we go out and in the holiday season we're making plans, that we make sure we do have a plan to make a good choice, to make sure that we don't make that bad choice of drinking and driving, and having that plan in place. And so many, as a father with 3 young kids or 3 young boys that are in that teenage years, I think it's a great thing that parents nowadays always encourage, no matter what, unconditionally supportive, will come pick you up no matter what. Anytime, any place, you name it, we'll come get you. So, and again, thanks to MAD and campaigns such as this, there's a lot more awareness of the dangers of impaired driving and its senseless, painful ramifications. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chief Betzer. And thank you to all the first responders joining us today. We appreciate everything that you do to keep our communities safe and all the support you give MAD Canada and our Project Red Ribbon campaign. We could not do this holiday awareness campaign year after year without the support of generous and committed corporate sponsors also. We are very pleased that one of our official sponsors is here with us today, KEG Canada, which is undergoing rebranding from Westcan Bulk Transport. In addition to supporting our Project Red Ribbon campaign, KEG Canada supports our school program, which brings the sober driving message to hundreds of thousands of Canadian students in grades 7 to 12 every year. Since 2008, it has featured the photos of impaired driving victims on their truck trailers, along with a reminder to the public to call 911 if they see a driver they suspect is impaired. These messages are now on 240 truck trailers and are seen by thousands of motorists every day. We are very proud to partner with KEG Canada and pleased to welcome their Vice President of Human Resources, Stephanie Tidiu, to say a few words.
Thank you. I'm really pleased to be here today as an organization that specializes in road transportation. Road safety especially is really close to our hearts. Our partnership with MAD Canada is such a natural fit as we have the same objectives and goals, and it's to do everything we can to keep our roadways safe. We mentioned our 3 initiatives. Our school assembly program, Project Red Ribbon, and then our DECO program for our trailers. Our employees especially are very proud of the partnership that we have with MAD Canada. From seeing victims on the back of the trucks and receiving feedback from the public in general, it does make them feel proud to be part of such a great organization. I wanted to make sure I had an opportunity today to thank MAD Canada and the local chapter of MAD here in Red Deer for the work that they do to bring awareness to the victims. Most importantly, today I would like to say thank you to Brenda for taking a deep breath and sharing Chloe's story. It was very impactful, and I hope it means a lot to everybody to hear. I certainly appreciated having some more information, and it's great to see that the family is out today to spread the news and to raise awareness for safe driving coming into the holiday season. I thought this event was especially important for myself as a learning opportunity. In fact, I brought my son with me, who's 10, because I thought that it would be, a really valuable lesson to learn about compare driving instead of regular grade 5 criteria today. So I hope that he can go back to grade 5 and share what he learned today with his classmates, because the decision to make smart choices as kids grow up, it starts young. And that's why I like to attend all the MAD events, but I would observe at the MAD event school assembly that the children, they focus and pay attention. And in the couple of events we've been at in the past couple of years, you can hear a pin drop on the floor of the school. So they do listen, and they do a great job of making the video for the school-aged children. That would be all I have to say today, but again, thank you to everybody for coming out, and a really important program that we're proud to be part of.
Thank you, Stephanie. I would also like to recognize our other national Project Red Ribbon sponsors, including Irving Oil, Uber, BMO Financial Group, and we have Cody Pruden, the branch manager for the Alberta Central Market for BMO, joining us today to be a part of our ribbon cutting ceremony, and Economical Insurance. We are very proud and grateful to partner with these generous corporate sponsors. As we come together to launch Project Red Ribbon, we do so in memory of all of those who have been killed and injured as a result of impaired driving. And we do so in the hopes that our efforts will save lives and prevent injuries on our roads this holiday season. To all Canadians, if you're going to be consuming alcohol, cannabis, or other drugs, please plan ahead for a sober ride home. Take an Uber, call a cab, arrange a designated driver, take public transit, call a sober friend or family member. There's many options. Driving impaired is never, ever worth the risk. Not to you, not to your passengers, and not to all the other motorists on the road with you. I encourage everyone to also get their red ribbons, and get some for your family and friends too. Let's make sure the red ribbon is visible all season long. I would like to once again thank Brenda Brown and all of Chloe's family for joining us today. Sharing the story of Chloe's loss is never easy, but they do so in hope that it can help prevent this from happening to other families. My thanks also to our guest speakers and special guests. We hope you all know how much we value your participation and support. And finally, my thanks to our MAD Red Deer chapter. These amazing volunteers are dedicated to the mission to stop impaired driving and to support victims and survivors, and I am so inspired by all that they do. I'd now like to ask everyone to join us for the ceremonial ribbon cutting to officially launch our 2021 Project Red Ribbon campaign. And we'll just ask that media wait for any interviews until after this ceremony is complete. Thank you so much.
So the ribbons, remember, they go on the cars. So it's a reminder to make better choices and not drive